Avengers! Assemble.
Welcome to the second Gaming Podcast Alliance Roundtable. We are a group of like-minded gamers who have come together as a group known as the GPA, the Gaming Podcast Alliance. This podcast is all about discussing video games, its culture, and whatever else we feel like talking about. So, without further ado, let's go around the table and introduce ourselves. The man you hear on the mic is Dave Rotino from Rated G for Gamers.
What's going on, man? Dan Robinson from Rated G for Gamers.
I am Justin from Lit Gaming Arena.
And I am Danny from ZapNightGaming.
So, welcome everybody. It's good to hear everybody on this fine Sunday. Our topic this week is favorite gaming experience and/or memory. I'm sure we all kind of have that memorable moment in gaming, just something that kind of like was unique, or kind of like, hey, this thing was just like super awesome, or like I remember this time, you know, whatever it is, it's just kind of like, yeah, this really kind of like sticks in my memory as like kind of a piece that like stands out, like in terms of gaming. So, if anybody wants to like kick it off with something,
sure, I'll start. So, one of the biggest experiences for me was the very first time I pre-ordered a game, and I feel like now a lot of people do it online, or they, kind of wait until it comes out to go and pick it up. But like a few years ago, I pre-ordered Final Fantasy X-2. Mistakes were made, but Final Fantasy X-2. It was just the whole experience of going like a couple weeks ahead of time, pre-ordering the game at GameStop, and then, waiting for the game to come out. And that whole, anticipation, the build up, and then going there the day of, waiting for them to open up, and then walking in and picking it up and bringing it home. Just that whole experience is something that I feel like things are different now than they used to be then. So I don't know, it stuck with me, and it was like the first one that I paid with like my own money instead of my parents going and getting me money for it. So I don't know, it just made me feel good.
Sorry, go ahead.
I definitely have something to add to that too. I mean, not only just like, because I totally know what you're talking about, because the point where you can go and make that decision yourself, like, I want this game, I want to make sure I get this game, and you go and you walk in the GameStop, and this time you walk in the GameStop, you're saying, hey, I want to pre-order a game, instead of them being like, hey, do you want to pre-order a game?
Right, yeah.
And then like, not only that, but like when you go up there and then you're like, instead of just like, oh, I'll put down the $5 for the game, you're like, I'm going to pay for the whole game right now. So then when I come in and get it, I just grab the game and go home.
Go home and throw it in for the first time, opening up that package for the first time and throwing it in. Oh,
yes.
It's great.
I think every time I've ever pre-ordered a game from GameStop, it's always been a disaster. It's always been a disaster. Where
that's me at Best Buy.
Oh boy! Don't get me started on Best Buy. I had a bad experience with them just yesterday, but I think we'll save that. We'll save that for up.
I think the first time I pre-ordered a game at GameStop, I don't know, it was probably early or mid 2000s, because I wasn't at that point. I had sort of stopped gaming so much. I was only buying games for sports like Madden and the 2K series. I pre-ordered a game from one GameStop. I assumed I can go to any GameStop and pick that up because it's...
Oh, no.
Yeah, no. Every store is independent in that case.
Yeah. Well, I was far away from where I live. I was just in the area. I went to like a family barbecue. I didn't live in that area. And I was like, oh, I go to GameStop and order 2K. I don't remember what it was. It was like 2K 07 or something like that. 2K08.
Yeah.
I went to the GameStop where I live, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got to go back up. You got to go back up to the Bronx."
Oh no.
I don't live in the Bronx.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, there are 5 distinct boroughs in New York City, and to go from where even like me and Dan are all the way up to the Bronx is like at least an hour, right?
An hour plus. Because this was like close to White Plains. This is going to Westchester.
Right. And you know, like you may say like, oh, you just have a car. You can drive an hour and a half. Nobody has a car in the city.
No.
Nobody has a car.
Yeah. So I had to trek all the way. I had to trek all the way up there like a week later, which was. It was like, well, then why did he even pre-order this? I could have just bought it anywhere. I could have bought it at Toys R Us when Toys R Us was still around. R.I.P. So every time I've ever pre-ordered a game from GameStop, it's always just been a disaster.
That actually happened to my wife once. Like when we were younger, just she had pre-ordered the game in one city, and then we were living in another city, and then we went to GameStop, and we didn't even know this at the time either. So it's like, no, they're not linked up. You got to go to that other GameStop where you pre-ordered it at, and it's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
You want to talk about disastrous pre-orders? I pre-ordered the PlayStation Classic.
Oh.
Yeah. I ended up just getting one for $20. So $20 is okay.
I just saw them for $20.
I'm so mad at myself for doing that.
Well, I didn't pre-order it, but I bought it day one.
Yeah, Dan got in on it early too, and
I know.
big oof.
Marcus was like, I'll buy it when it gets down to $20, and I sent him a message. I was like, it's $20 now, and they're still out there. And he was like, I think it can go a little bit lower.
Yeah, right. 15 maybe. You know, what's that line? So
Best Buy would probably be giving it away for $8 at some point. Watch.
So we're I guess a little bit polarizing on that whole kind of pre-order game experience, but I do, you know, I understand the first time you buy something with your own money. And, you know, just having that independence and saying, like, hey, I want to get this game. I'm an adult. I have money. I'm going to go out and do it on my own. And, you know, maybe you can purchase your own game system.
I think that was the tipping point for me, is like, you know, I'm finally have a first job. I'm finally pre-ordering it. And it just makes you feel good.
Well, and now it's so much different pre-ordering a game, because it's like you don't know what's going to happen when you pre-order that game. Like back then, you could pre-order a game, you know that it's going to be a good game, but now it's like there's review embargoes. Like you don't know what the game is actually like until after it comes out.
Yeah, it is a completely different landscape. But I will say I have a I guess it's a little bittersweet for me, but it is I think a good gaming experience story. So I used to work at Electronics Boutique way back in the day before they got enveloped by GameStop.
EB Games.
That's
EB
right.
Games.
That's right.
Remember FuncoLand?
I do. Yeah. FuncoLand was like on its way out, which was also enveloped by GameStop.
Really?
Yeah.
I had one too.
GameStop bought like everything. But back when it was still Electronics Boutique, our store wasn't labeled EB Games. They did like a rebrand on it. But I worked at the one in the mall, like close to my hometown, and I worked there during the PS2 launch. Right.
Ooh, okay.
So it was like crazy time, right? You know, the Dreamcast was in like full swing. That was still going. Microsoft was in talks of like, hey, they may be coming out with a console, and the Sony PlayStation was like close to here. And the way it worked is that employees were able to pre-order the system if they wanted to, but they would be pre-ordering it just like everybody else, so there'd be no priority. It was, you know, first one in, first one out, and we had maybe a couple hundred pre-orders, and that was it. And I ended up finagling a situation out, and I got the pre-order. I put the money down for it, and after all the systems came out, right, we would just go down the list in order, and we just keep checking people off when they got the systems. And after like the first run of systems came through, there was a second set that came in, and then I was like real close to getting my system. And this dad and this kid, I remember the day, and they came in the store, and they were talking to my manager, and, you know, they were like, look, like, we have a defective PlayStation. We'd like to, you know, exchange it. I don't know if you guys have any other ones. And I think like all the other employees had gotten their PlayStations, and I had not gotten my PlayStation yet. And my boss comes to me, and he essentially puts his arm around me, and he says, Dave, he's like, you don't have to do this. It is completely up to you. And he goes, look, here's the situation. Like, this dad got his kid the PlayStation for Christmas, and, it turns out that it's defective. Would you be willing to give up your PlayStation as like a replacement model?
Wow.
And I had to think about it for like a couple seconds, because I'm like, well, I'm obviously not going to get one, but it's like major goodwill, like across the board. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? They can have my pre-order PlayStation. And the kids, he just lit up. Like, the smile was so big. And I'm like, you know what? Like, dude, don't even worry about it. You can have mine. It's not a big deal. And the kid was just so happy. And I got mine like a couple weeks later, so like it wasn't even that big of a thing. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of like it felt good. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I guess I got a semi-similar story that hits a little bit more closer to home. Mm-hmm. I mean, so the 360. Remember the 360 launch? We both worked at Circuit City.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I do know the story. This is a good one.
All right, so we worked at Circuit City. I pre-ordered the one with the hard drive. Because remember, it came with the hard drive, one didn't come with the hard drive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That was the arcade model.
The arcade model.
The hard drive. Yeah.
Why you would get as a side tangent? Why would anybody get the arcade model? Is beside me. It's just like the Wii U. You get the black model with the bigger storage.
Right.
Downgrade from the like the Xbox, because the Xbox had the hard drive in it, then they released this 360 without a hard drive. It's like, what are you doing, Microsoft?
That doesn't make any sense. They fractured that release. It should have just been one release with the hard drive. That's it. But anyway, I had pre-ordered it. It was like one of the last ones in the store to pre-order it. Mm-hmm. Talking about pre-orders, we're bringing it full circle here. My aunt and her son came to live with. They were living with us for like 2 years. So they came to live with us. My aunt couldn't buy my cousin a Christmas gift at all. Like, it was hard times. She couldn't buy a Christmas gift. Mm-hmm. And she told him that, and he knew he wasn't getting a Christmas gift. I had the 360. I decided that I was going to wrap it up and give it to him for Christmas. So one day, like on Christmas, everyone's up, all the kids are up and opening all their gifts. Mm-hmm. He didn't get up early because he knew he wasn't getting a Christmas gift. And I sort of I said, here, Merry Christmas. So he thought it was going to be like nothing, like maybe a shirt or something like that. His eyes lit up. He almost did a backflip and dropped the box on the tree. It was great. And the game that we got for it, I think it was Condemned. It was Condemned.
Oh yeah.
It was like Condemned. It was like the second Condemned, right? Mm-hmm. Not the first one.
The first one I think was around the launch of the system.
Oh, it was the first one.
I think it was the first one, which is definitely the better of the two.
Yeah, but we played that for like a good 30 minutes, and then we went back to playing Halo on the original Xbox. So it was a great gesture, I guess, on my part, just because I wanted to see my little cousin. I mean, he was like 15 at the time, 14, 15. Aww. Just, I didn't want him to have a bad Christmas. Mm-hmm. And then we just went back to playing Halo anyway. There was no launch titles. There were really no launch titles for the Xbox 360.
No, you could play the great Peter Jackson's King Kong. I think was one of the launch titles.
I think we might need to change GMG to Good Man Gaming.
Well, Dave is still a grandpa gamer.
Listen, I'm wise beyond my years. That's what that means.
But that actually wasn't going to be my gaming experience. Mm-hmm. I only said that to piggyback off your story because it just reminded me of when I did that for my cousin. Sure. My original story was going to be how I first got into gaming anyway. Mm-hmm. It was, I don't know how old I was. I must have been like 6 or 7. And I woke up, it was for my birthday. Mm-hmm. I woke up, my father was playing the NES.
Yep. He
had the gun, the zapper. And we were playing you know what, we were playing Mario 2. Mm-hmm. I didn't have it when it first came out. Mm-hmm. So we had the cart with Mario and Duck Hunt all in one cart, and then we had Super Mario Brothers 2.
Nice.
So I was playing Mario 1 and 2 like
Back to back.
back. But I didn't really get a chance to play it because this is before Twitch. I was watching my father play it. He didn't want to give up the controller.
It was Twitch before Twitch. Live action Twitch.
It was Twitch before Twitch. He let me play Duck Hunt. But when it came like to Mario 1 and 2, like he was playing it. He was just playing it. It was more of me watching him and his friends play My Birthday Gift. So, because he called his best friend over. He was like, "Oh, you got that NES?" Because it was like the hottest thing out, and no one could find Super Mario Brothers 2 because it was sold out everywhere. And it was just like, "I want that," and he's like, "It's sold out. I'm sorry, we can't." But secretly, he had it. So I thought that was great, and then I finally got a chance to play, and I sucked. And he was like, "You know what? Let me show you how it's done, son." And he was just keep playing it. So it was like Twitch before Twitch.
So what did you think you were going to get that birthday?
I don't remember.
But you end up getting the best gift ever.
Maybe like some Ninja Turtles, or something like that. I think Batman just came out.
Oh yeah,
the movie.
Yeah. That must have been like 89, 90 then. Yeah.
It was like 89.
Oh wow.
Something, or maybe I got an 88. I don't know. Maybe we heard Batman was being made, and I thought I was gonna get Batman.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was Twitch before Twitch, watching my father and his friends play Mario Brothers. But I wasn't pissed. I wasn't sad. I was like all into it. I was like, yeah. I was like all into it and stuff. I should have created Twitch. We all be billionaires right now.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, there's definitely something about like the whole family aspect of watching someone play a video game. Everything that you get people say that's weird. People watch people play video games, but everyone's been doing that since the dawn of video games. I mean, look at arcades. Like you get people going to arcades, and they're like back in the day, and there's people gathering around like two really good players just watching them.
There's something about watching somebody play a video game really well that just it makes it feel a little more awesome than when you're fumbling through it.
Yes, it's like awe-inspiring when you like. I mean, I hate to bring up Ninja, but like watching Ninja play anything, like I don't know how he does what he does.
It's it's the same with like pro athletes, right? You want to watch Eli Manning take the Giants to the Super Bowl yet again, because obviously you don't have the ability to do that. You can sit in your backyard and toss the football around to your siblings, but it's never going to be the same, right? And it's the same with gaming. Like people make the argument, you can just play the game yourself, and it's like, well, yeah, but no one's as good as Ninja.
Yeah.
Or
can you play football yourself?
Yeah. So that's
same concept.
Yeah. I do have one more story, and it is also related to the NES. So I got the NES Christmas '87.
Yeah, you're in college, right?
I was in college. I was 87. I was 7 years old. It's easy to do the math. I was 7 years old, and my parents got me the Nintendo system with The Legend of Zelda, which I think it's also partially the reason why it's one of my favorite games of all time. It used to be my favorite Zelda game, which is now Breath of the Wild, but I love the original game because of the exploration, because of they just kind of like Miyamoto set out to say, hey, put you in this game world, just go. Like, well, what do I do? It's like, well, explore.
Figure it out.
Exactly. Go around the countryside. And, you end up stumbling into the first cave and you go, I found a sword, right? And everybody finds a sword because it's the thing, you go a little bit left, you go a little bit up, you go in the cave.
I didn't find the sword, as a side note. I didn't find the sword right away.
Right. And, like people will have a different gaming experience, much like
I try to power through it without a sword.
Right. Which you actually can do. You can get through almost the whole entire game with no sword, which is funny. But, I know, like, all of my friends had Zelda too, right? And we'd all kind of, hey, did you find out, like, this thing? Did you know you can, like, burn this bush? I was like, you can burn bushes? And it's like, yeah, you got to get the candle and, like, do this thing. And it was kind of like everyone coming together to to talk about this game and say like, hey, I found this cool neat thing and whatever. And this was in a time before the internet, right? So you couldn't just like go online and figure out like, oh, well, this is what you do. There was no game facts. There was no tip guide. Like, sure, it came with a little book that you weren't supposed to open that had some little hints to kind of get you started and all that. But we kind of built a community around like all of our friends, and you know, we'd bring our game cartridge over to our friend's house because we beat level 3, but maybe they beat level 4, and it's just kind of something I never really experienced with like any other game. And I know that recently, or maybe a couple of years ago, like Miyamoto did an interview and somebody asked them about The Legend of Zelda and the concept for it and all that. And that's exactly what he had wanted for the game to be, right? For people to kind of come together and have the, you know, to like be the internet before the internet and have everyone kind of come together and share the game experience and like, oh, I found this, and oh, I found this, and you know, I thought that was kind of neat.
So I this one isn't really my actual story, but I thought I would mention it since we all kind of talked about like our first games. This one, my first game was Commander Keen 4.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Okay.
My dad's work laptop. What he would bring that like back. So like this was, I would have had to been probably 4 years old, maybe 5, because I mean it was before we had moved, and then I knew we moved when I was 5 years old, so I was between 4 and 5, and it was like just this DOS laptop. I remember it just being enormous because it was like the thing that he would have to take home from work with him, and he had this game on it, and I would always kind of vaguely remember what this game was because I played it so young. I just had like visions of it, and I didn't realize what it was until they announced Commander King at E3 this year.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. So I kind of started looking it up, and then I found like images that were like exactly what I see like in my dreams. I'm like, wait, this is the game. This is the first game I've ever played when I was like 4 years old.
Oh,
so
man.
now I think I got to pick up that new Commander Keen when it comes out, relive that memory. Right. But I think I'm going to bring this right back around to the Xbox.
Nice.
And we're going to talk about
console.
Halo 2.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And Halo 2 multiplayer is probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in a multiplayer game. There's a few of them I've had. I mean, I could probably list them like Freelancer, Halo 3, Halo 2, the whole like Halo franchise, really. Red Alert 2. Those are just like some of my favorite multiplayer games. Mm-hmm. But in Halo 2, I had a good friend that lived in Kansas, and we would play online, and our favorite thing was to play team doubles. So it's just 2 versus 2 games. Nice. And every single time we played, we discovered that we would win. We never lost a match of team doubles. And so we started playing in the ranked playlists, mm-hmm. where it mattered. You could level up your game. So we started playing in that, and we got pretty far. And again, like this was like, I'm talking like 50 plus matches of never losing a single time. Mm-hmm. And finally we get to a pair that is basically our equal match, and we had a hard time keeping the lead. It would go back and forth, like they would lead and then we would lead, and it was so close towards the end of the game that like I think within the last 15 to 20 seconds that they were only down by 1 kill. And then it hit like the 15-second mark. And this was back in like Halo 2. The announcer was a little more verbose. They said a lot more things than they do now, I think. Mm-hmm. And so they killed us and tied with us within the last 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And so it was like tied the lead, or no, it was lost the lead. And we were like, oh no. And then we both, because they tied us, and then they immediately got ahead of us because they killed both of us. And then we both respawn, and then we both went after them within the last 10 seconds. And it was a map where there was kind of like a higher ground situation. We threw grenades from where we spawned at in the direction of where they killed us at. And the grenades went off. And then the announcer was like, tied the lead. gained the lead, game over. And it was like, within the last 1 second of the game, we gained the lead. It was legendary.
Oh, that's awesome. Props to you guys. High fives all around, right?
Yeah, that was like,
that was pretty smart, though. That was pretty smart to throw the grenades.
Last known location, let's toss some grenades over there.
Yeah, exactly. So we threw those grenades and we got them because, I mean, you had to throw them because it was far enough away that it was basically blind aiming just in that direction, but we just had to throw them upwards and down the hill, and yeah, we got them. It was awesome.
Do you remember the map you guys were playing?
I don't remember the name of it, but it was like the one. It was in one of the DLC packs, I believe, where it's like you were inside this building, kind of thing, and there was multiple ways up towards. There's like a lower end of it, and then there's a higher end, and I think there's like a teleport, so you could like there's different branching paths to get from the high end to the low end.
Right.
And there's just kind of like an open area like between walls that you could snipe to the low end if you wanted to, and yeah, they killed us down on the low end, and we threw grenades back down there when we spawned.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that's my epic gaming moment for a lifetime.
Oh, nice. That's solid.
I don't really play multiplayer.
Nothing like what Ninja would do, but
Right. Well, he's a special beast.
Well, Ninja is special. It's only one Ninja. Nothing that
he can do the floss really well.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, see, I don't have any epic stories like that. I'm not a big multiplayer game. I mean, when we play Halo, it's more like Twitch. Like, all right, you get the controller, you play this level. I get the controller, I play this level.
Yeah.
The only time I ever did like a head-to-head was GoldenEye.
Oh yeah, back in the day, sure.
Yeah. I mean, we can't go back to that control system now.
No.
Oh, I think I'll bring up Marcus's, because Marcus said he had one, but he's not here, so I'll bring it up for him. I can't remember what map he said it was, but there is a spawn location that him and his dad called the uh-oh room.
Oh.
And what happened was that as you all know, in GoldenEye there was the all the proximity mines.
Yeah, I think you're probably referencing the facility, if I'm not mistaken. And
yes, I believe so. And there is one room where I can't remember if it was him or his dad, but I think it was him. He placed a bunch of proximity mines in it, but then he had died and spawned in the room with the proximity mines.
There's only that one exit. You just
and he just went, uh-oh, and blew up.
Yep.
And so that's why they called it the uh-oh room.
Sure.
I mean, I'm
hilarious.
paraphrasing, but I think that's basically what it is. And that reminded me of, I think ours was also in the facility. That's where the GoldenEye gun was, or the golden gun was in the bathroom, right?
I think so. Yeah, you had to go up through the vent or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and there's like a door, and my friends and our thing we would always place a proximity mine behind the door to where the golden gun was.
Yep.
So you'd go into the bathroom and blow up, and sometimes we would hide it like right next to the golden gun.
Oh, that's funny.
Anybody that would go to the golden gun, it was like you're taking a huge risk because you might just have to deal with a proximity mine.
Sure. Yeah, I think if you were really good at that game and you were playing with the like explosive set, you could just do like a loop around the level and keep chucking proximity mines to all the spawn points, because the map wasn't the best design, because it was early FPS. But yeah. So
Blood Gulch and D Dust are like peak level design for first person shooters.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up, right? We got some really good gaming stories. Pre-ordering your first game, Christmas, birthday stories, opening up the Nintendo, the multiplayer stuff. It's all good stuff, and I think we can all kind of relate to those on some level. We've all had an experience like that where it's just been kind of just maybe transcendent is the word. I don't know. But do you guys have anything that you want to plug?
Yeah. So obviously from Lit Gaming Arena, we'll have our podcast coming out today when this is also posted, I believe. So every Sunday you can find us on Lit Gaming Arena at Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook is Lit Gaming Arena CO, and also like litgamingarena.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can find ZapNight, zapnight.com. We have a podcast episode coming out August 1st for Spyro 3, so that's going to be exciting. And yeah, we got weekly episodes, and zapnight.com is where you can see everything we've got going on.
Oh, nice. And you can find me and Dan. We are Rated G for Gamers. We put new episodes out every Tuesday. You can find us at Rated G for Gamers at pretty much any social media, right? And that will do it for the second episode of the GPA Roundtable. We want to thank everyone for listening, and please check out all of the fine podcasts on the GPA network. That's gamingpodcastalliance.com. Thanks again for listening, and keep gaming alive.